guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing the first initial service for this 2020 Can-Am X3. So this has 500 miles. All the dealerships that I've run into, when they sell you an extended warranty, they tell you to bring the car back for its 500 mile service. Now I don't know exactly what that entails. I've never asked. I probably should. And if any of you guys know what the 500 mile service is besides the oil change, let me know. But we're going to go over the things that I would do at 500 miles to service this vehicle and keep it running good. So we're gonna go over a few things: the oil change, a new air filter, checking for possible failures such as ball joints and sway bar links being loose, and yeah, checking tire pressure. Pretty simple stuff. And let's get to it, guys. Gonna be easy, save you guys a buck. Yes, I know the dealerships want you guys to go back to the dealership for the extended warranty purposes, but I've been told as long as you got your receipts that you did your oil change at 500 miles, you should be good. So whether that's at a mom and pop shop or somewhere else, do your oil change and make sure you have paperwork to show that, just in case your extended warranty is kind of anal and doesn't want to cover repairs for whatever may fail. So let's get to it. We'll get to work. We're gonna start off with the tire pressures. Now he had them at 8, 10, 12, and I think that's too low. I feel like anything below 12 is way too low, so we're gonna put them at 16. If you have them too low, the tires tend to squish and the suspension doesn't get a chance to do its job. So I got one of these Milwaukee tire inflators. I keep this with me on the rides just in case I get a flat, and it's good to set the tire pressures because as you can see right now, this one's only at 11.5. We can set it to 16 and then we can start inflating it. So I'm gonna leave a link for that one, as well as some of the other tools we use today and the oil change kit. So let's get to it. All right guys, tire pressures are set all around the car. We're gonna go ahead and take this off and we're done with the tire pressures. We're gonna move on to replacing the air filter and cleaning that out with some glass cleaner and a rag. We're gonna show you how filthy that gets, and then I'm gonna tell you how to prevent that getting so dirty, so save you some money on the long run. All right, so for the air filter on this 2020, this housing actually looks a little bit different than my car. They changed them over the years with the higher horsepower and whatnot. So the box is different, but pretty much the same exact process. There's all these clips around, and this one, in this case, it has I think 4 of them. The back one is kind of a pain in the ass to get to, but it should come off with no issues. The whole lid comes off. Pop that guy off, just like that. And yeah, not too bad. But the air filter, I know my buddy Abraham and I already kind of blew this out once before, but even so, all it takes is one ride and you can see all the dirt that's in there. So we'll just smack this on the floor here and you can see all the dirt that it leaves behind. So we're gonna clean all this up with some glass cleaner. The way to prevent this from getting dirty at all is buying an SMB particle separator. I know I'm not sponsored by them. I just recommend them because they're good products. They are a little pricey, about 450-ish bucks, but in the long run, it will save you money from replacing these air filters because these are what, probably $30, $40, and they'll add up over the life of the vehicle. So you plan to keep your vehicle long term, buy yourself a SMB particle separator like the one we have here on this 2021. There it is. It makes a hell of a difference. And pretty much the filter gets no dirt in it. You can clean it if you want, but there's very little in there. So we'll move on to replacing this filter, getting it cleaned up, and move on to the next thing. Wipe it all down good and make sure that our new filter has a good head start. This is the 2020 RR. Pretty much the same thing as the 2021. There were some changes to the clutching, I believe, and also the covers. They're trying to get better cooling and whatnot, but ultimately it's pretty much the same thing. So that's in there. Put the cover back on. Can be a little tricky putting it back on, but just take time. All right guys, so before we do the oil change, there's a few things I want to cover. They should probably be checking after every ride, and that's going to be the sway bars, the radius rods, and the arms. Make sure there's no noises, no funny clunks or anything like that. First, you just grab a hold of your radius rods and move them, make sure they're good. And your axles, as long as they're not broken, it should be fine. Just make sure you try turning them, make sure there's no funny noises. Then the sway bar links here at the front, you'll make sure they're not loose. If you want to, you put an 18mm wrench or ratchet, make sure they're tight because they do tend to come loose, mostly in the front. So let's go to the front. So we're just gonna double check the front here because these do tend to come loose, especially on the older models, not so much on the newer models, but they start to make a clunk that kind of gets annoying while you're riding. These are good, and we'll do the same thing for the other side. Now, one other thing I like to do is checking the arms, the ball joints, the bushings for the A-arms, make sure they're not making any sorts of noises. And in order to check that, I just grab one wheel and shake the hell out of it. Don't worry about that. So you would normally hear, if you had an issue, you'd hear a ball joint maybe moving up and down. You hear a collapse, problem. The bushing might be moving, the arm might be moving. But in this case, everything's tight. It's only got about 500, 600 miles on it, and the car's still pretty tight. So, all right, and last thing will probably be the oil change. And I also want to show you guys the blowing out the clutches. It's something you should be doing after every big ride. Small rides, you'll probably be good, but every big ride you do, every weekend you do, you should be blowing out the clutches, getting all that dirt out of there, because dirt does collect in there from the intake. So we'll do the oil change now, and we'll move on to drain the oil. Real quick tip, I noticed my buddy is scraping his bash plate or his underbelly skid plate a lot, and we're gonna go ahead and tighten up the high-speed compression, just one full turn, see how that does for him, and then plus the the added air on the tires, it should be making a difference for him because he's a bigger guy and he always carries a lot of passengers, so this is gonna help him. So we'll do one full turn on the big 17mm nut that you see here on the top of the shocks. Same thing for all four corners, and then yeah, so that's gonna help him a lot. I'm no tune expert, but when you have a lot of weight, you want to stiffen up the high-speed compression. All right guys, so this is the oil change kit that they give you. It comes with 4 quarts, a new oil filter, some seals for both drain plugs, and the cap for the oil filter housing. And here I have some 2 oil filters I'm going to be using. I'm going to leave a link in the description for this funnel here that we're going to use to fill the oil. It's pretty cool because you can put it in one of the holes of the bed down to where you fill the oil, and it's very little mess. You just gotta go kind of slow, which isn't a big deal. This funnel is the one I'm gonna be using, but I don't suggest it. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to another funnel, which is a little pricey, but it works wonders, and I'm gonna tell you why. The size of the drain plug is actually pretty big. So the head is a 17mm, which is this guy here. So the drain plug is pretty big, and I've had an issue in the past, and like a lot of you guys have who've done oil changes, if you don't catch that drain plug or grab it and move it out of the way on time, and it falls and covers up this hole and can't get out of this funnel, then your oil starts going up the funnel, and the oil goes everywhere. I'm talking about everywhere, all over the skid plate, and for the skid plate it travels just about everywhere. It's like, sand. When you go to Glamis, sand ends up everywhere in your butt crack and your bullseye armpit. But anyways, so the oil makes a mess. So the best thing that I found is a funnel that's specifically made for this car, and I'm gonna leave a link in the description for that, this funnel, the oil change kit, and air filter, and a couple other things that I mentioned in this video. All right guys, so first things first, we're gonna put this funnel right about here for now. We're gonna loosen both the 10mm and the 17mm that are found on the engine. We're gonna loosen those up so we can spin them off by hand. Once we spin them off by hand, or before we spin them off by hand, we're gonna have this in place in this hole so the oil can drain out into my oil pan. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description for this oil pan too, because it's really cool. But yeah, let's loosen up the bolts first. Also, always keep a bunch of rags on hand, because you never know when something goes wrong. All right, so use that hole, the access hole in the skid plate to gain access, and loosen up the 10mm, couple threads. Then we'll go ahead and switch to a 17 here, and same thing, go ahead and break that loose. So now that's broken loose. We should be able to spin that off by hand. Before we do that, put your funnel and your oil pan in place, your drain pan. All right, so right now, for sure, my funnel is in the hole for the skid plate. It should drain directly onto my drain pan, and we should be good. Now, this funnel, I know that drain plug does not fit through this funnel, and if I don't catch that plug, it's gonna make a giant mess, which hopefully it won't do. But like I said, use the funnel that I leave a link in the description for, that one's gonna be a lot better for you guys. So I'm gonna start with the 10 millimeter. I'm gonna loosen that up. And remember guys, there is a drain seal, this copper seal. And now we can reach over here and grab the other one. All right, there it is. A good thing I didn't drop this because it would make a mess. So we'll let that drain and we'll get back to you guys. All right guys, while that drains, the oil filter cover is right here underneath the exhaust. I put a couple of rags around it because it always seems to make a mess. There's 3 8 millimeters. Once you got the screws out, carefully take the cap off. Like I said, it does always make a mess, so just be careful. So the rags helped a little bit, but the oil still dripped down because of the oil filter housing. So we're gonna have to clean that up with some degreaser. And yeah, so let's move on to the oil filter housing itself, the cap. The cap, we'll put on a new O-ring here. So it comes with new oil filter ring for the cap, and then 2 more seals for both drain plugs. All right, I always put a little bit of oil on the new seal so it seals better. And we'll get our oil filter, we'll snap the oil filter into place here. It's usually kind of tough, but it does snap into place. So just like that, make sure it's nice and straight, and then we'll install this. There's no real orientation that goes any other way. Just make sure you line up the holes. Tying down both drain plugs and you should be pretty much done down here. All right guys, not much of a mess. Wipe down as much as you can and then use some degreaser. We're using Super Clean. Degreaser is biodegradable, really good stuff. They actually sent this to me, so I support companies that support me as long as the product's good. So we're gonna try it out right now and hopefully it does a job. Brand new bottle. But make sure you get some near the actual oil filter cap because well, that's where all that oil came from. So clean near the source. Smells like death, by the way.
Come on, Death. You can do this.
Make sure you spray down there with the oil filter, excuse me, where the drain plugs were at. And then pretty much that should be it. We'll wash it off and we'll be done down here. We can fill it up with some oil, start her up, check the level, and that's a wrap. Seems to work pretty damn good. I like this stuff. They also send out some floor absorbent and what do we got here? Some wheel cleaner. I'm sure we'll be trying all these products as we make more messes, but stay tuned to the channel, more Super Clean. I really like this drain pan because you can just put this cover on and then close the breather hole, wipe this down, and you can take it to your local AutoZone maybe and drain the oil. Don't forget to rinse off the degreaser. All right guys, doing the oil change, your drain plug here, or excuse me, your fill plug should already be removed when you're draining the oil. We'll put that aside. This long funnel, the reason we like this is because it's kind of hard to get a oil quart bottle in there to fill the oil. So this is a good way of doing it. Yes, you have to kind of do it slow because the funnel size is kind of small, but it works great. You're gonna fill this up with 3.7 quarts and you'll be done. You can check the level after. There's a dipstick on the fill cap here, and yeah, pretty simple. So like I said, 3.7 quarts with the filter, so remember that. All right guys, let's talk oil for a second. We're using 1050 because we're out here in California. If you're out there back east and you see a lot of snow, you might be running the 040 kit, which is a thinner oil because it's colder out there. So we've always used the XPS brand. This is the BRP brand, as you can see down there by the logo, and works great. It's full synthetic. Put down comment down below what oil you guys like to run, and if you've had any issues, or you know, if it's been better. Well, I don't know how you would tell if it's better, but what oil you like to run, comment down below. All right, we're gonna take off this cover in order to blow out all the dust. This is a 7mm or a Phillips, and over here we got some 8mm or their Torx. Not sure what Torx that is, but yeah, we'll take the cover off. I already started here. All right guys, when it comes to cleaning the clutches, we're gonna use compressed air to blow all the dust and debris out of the clutches. Now these actually look pretty good. The owner has been blowing them out. This one actually is a little bit more dirty. You can see the dust. We're gonna blow out everything from every little crevice, everything that you can see. Stick the nozzle in there and try to blow out as much as you can. As you can see there, a lot of it comes out. So there's a lot of dust and debris in there. You want to blow it all out as best as possible. Usually there's no rocks or anything like that because of the pre-filter. But if you had a blown bout in the past, you could try getting all that stuff out, because sometimes little bits and pieces will go in the clutches and you want to get all that stuff out. Now, I don't think he's ever blown a bout because, or he's never burned the bout either, because usually there'll be like tar marks on here, like black pieces of the belt that have melted on there from the clutch, or excuse me, from the belt slipping or from it blowing. So when you see stuff like that, what you want to do is get a Scotch-Brite, remove the belt, get a Scotch-Brite, and clean the sheaths on both sides, on both clutches, to get all that stuff off. But this guy doesn't have that problem. All the clutches are nice and clean. So all we're gonna do is blow all this stuff out with compressed air, and yeah, that'll be it for this service. We'll put the belt housing back on and we'll be done. All right guys, I pretty much wrapped up the cover. I also degreased and watered down these front differentials and the rear transaxle, because I also replaced the fluid. I did a video on that separately, so I'll leave a link to that at the bottom. I'm also going to leave a link to all the products. It's going to be in my Amazon store. Check it out. It supports the channel and I'd appreciate it. So thanks for watching as always. See you guys on the next one, and comment down below on your experiences with servicing these vehicles. Peace out guys.
Just one more thing, sir.
Also guys, I forgot to mention, there's this tool that you can buy in my Amazon store. This is for greasing the wheel bearings. I'll make a separate video on greasing the wheel bearings, also greasing the suspension points, because those are also very important as far as maintenance. Another thing to consider is the clutches. If your clutches, like this car, look really good, you don't have to service them. They say you're supposed to do it every 500, 800 miles, something like that, but I think you get a good 1,000 miles out of every, you know, clutch without rebuilding it. But there is rebuild kits to service your clutches. Again, that might be a separate video because my car's probably due, and I'm about to get something going on for that. So thanks for watching as always guys. Peace out.
One more thing.
Oh yeah guys, and if you haven't checked out the video on this 2021, we tore it apart completely to the chassis as far as the suspension goes, front and back.
Just one more thing, please.
Some really awesome stuff coming for this car. We're talking HDR, LMUTV, and Desert Works. Pretty badass. I'm super excited to get this going. We're waiting for the suspension. Should be later this week, and we'll update you guys on that. So see you guys next time.